everyone. We are live at the Chelsea Film Festival 8th Annual Edition. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Ingrid Jean-Baptiste. I'm the founder and director of the Chelsea Film Festival in New York City. We have 130 films this year from 18 different countries until Monday on Film Festival Plus. We will paste the link in the chat so you can click and create your passes, and please watch and support the arts, support emerging filmmakers in these very challenging times. I'm going to show you the trailer now of the Chelsea Film Festival. This was the Chelsea Film Festival 8th Annual Edition trailer. Congratulations to all the nominees. And today we're here to talk more seriously about different matters. This is the Real Magic Hour program. For the past 5 years, we've been presenting this program in partnership with the Sundance Institute to inform and educate ourselves about the business of entertainment. And I'm very happy to kick off this day with our dear friends at the festival. The first panel is Breaking into the Industry at a Young Age, the Triumphs, Trials, and Tribulations. I'd like to welcome our first guest. Her name is Dalila Bela. She's joining us from Los Angeles. She's an award-winning actress and singer known for Once Upon a Time, The 100, and most recently known for the role Diana Barry in the Netflix series Anne with an E. Our next guest is Hal Cumston. He is joining us from Australia. It's very late out there. I think it's 2 o'clock in the morning. So thank you for joining us that late or that early in the morning. He's also an award-winning actor, screenwriter, producer of the coming-of-age movie called Bilch that won Best Picture, Best Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor at the Chelsea Film Festival 2019. And now he can be seen in the latest installment of The Walking Dead World Beyond on AMC. And last, but certainly not least, I have the pleasure to welcome Emma Bell, our dear friend. She's been with us for many months now in the CFF Talks TV series that we've been producing together. She's joining us from Los Angeles. She's also an award-winning actress, director, screenwriter, producer, editor as well. You've seen her in Dallas, in The Walking Dead, in the last installment of the Final Destination series, and she also won Best Short Film last year at the Chelsea Film Festival 2019 for her film called Between the Pines that traveled in many different film festivals across the world and also across the country. She can now be seen in the comedy called The Argument on iTunes. I recommend it. It's hilarious and it's a perfect time to have a little laugh. Now I'm going to turn it over to you, Emma, and thank you all for joining us on this beautiful Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to our beautiful guests. I'm so excited to be speaking with both of you again. Dalila and I have had a couple of these talks now, so that's fun. And Hal and I were obviously at the festival last year, which was so fun, but I'm so excited to see so many people join us today. That's like incredible. The silver lining of having to do this virtually, I guess. Okay, cool. Well, so let me just get started. You know, one of the things that I love about this particular chat is talking to young artists about how they found their way into the industry. So I'm just going to open it up with that. Let's start with Dalila first. like what's your like, you know, 2-minute story of how you got into this industry for anyone out there who's an aspiring actor themselves or filmmaker? You know, it can be very inspiring.
Well, when I was around 3, 4 years old, I would point at the TV and tell my parents, I want to do what the people on TV are doing. Um, and then when I was 5 years old, uh, my aunt found a little kind of like an acting competition in the newspaper. And my parents asked me, you know, since they knew that I wanted to do what the people on TV did, they asked me if I wanted to participate. I said yes. And it spanned from Friday until Sunday, and then on Sunday the winner was announced, and it was people of all ages. Um, and I ended up winning the competition. And then after that, my parents they sat me down and they asked me like, was this fun? Like, do you want to keep doing this? And I said yeah. And ever since then, it's been 14 years now, and I've been acting in the business. And yeah, there's truly no other thing other than you gotta love it. You gotta get on set, you gotta go into the audition, and you gotta feel this energy, this exhilaration at the idea of being able to lose yourself in a character and with your coworkers. That is what makes acting. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you that competition happened and kind of inspired you to keep going. But obviously it's not always you know, it doesn't always fall in line, right? Like that. I'm sure you've had many experiences where you didn't win or you didn't get the role. So especially in the beginning of your career, like what were some of those like first experiences that made you realize like, I need to either do this differently? You know, I know that from my own point of view, like I had a couple moments in my early years where I was learning the ropes of the industry or how to audition or whatever. And you know, there may have been moments where I was like, okay, I need to either refocus or change my attitude or do this a little bit differently. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, did you have any experiences like that when you were coming up?
I think, yeah, I think I remember this one audition that I did for um, uh, movie. I ended up getting hired for it, but the auditioning process was something that I hadn't gone through until that point. I think it was around 6, 7 years old, and it was the first time. Like, you know, it's in chemistry tests when it's like one of the final auditioning processes before a group of people are cast, um, just to make sure that the chemistry within the coworkers works. Explaining for the audience.
No, that's good.
Yeah, they brought us in. It was like me and at least like 7 other girls all auditioning for 2 roles of sisters. And I had never gone through a chemistry test like this, and the whole like in and out, the in and out, the in and out, and it was like crying scenes, very heavy emotion, and I was like 6, 7 years old, and while you know that the whole action until cut, you got to immerse yourself in the character. That is, I knew how to do that when it was only like you got one shot. Now I was doing it over and over and over and over and over again with different actresses, and they were giving me like different directions, and I had never done that in an audition. I had done that on set, but in the auditioning process, it I guess yeah, and it kind of really made me think about how you really doesn't matter how many like shots you have in the auditioning process, you gotta give it your all every single time. And it's hard because sometimes you're like, oh, you know, I'm tired, or you've been there for hours, and you're like, are they gonna pick me? Like, does this mean that they like me? Does this mean that they don't? And but yeah, I think that kind of experience just showed me that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You gotta keep doing your best. Gotta give it your all every single time, because hey, it's you. It's your integrity as an actor that is. It's got to be shown. And the fact that you always do your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I think that sounds like it's actually a great education that you had at such a young age, because that is a really large part of acting that a lot of people don't recognize. Because, you know, when we see a performance on a TV show or a movie, it feels so like I remember as a little kid, like you'd watch your favorite movie and it does feel magical. It feels like it's like very linear and everything kind of like you're watching a storybook. But creating that is very repetitive. It's very, you'll be doing a scene for hours. It's really not as glamorous as people think it is. There's a lot of waiting, and a lot of like waiting full of anxiety and anticipation for, as you said, a crying scene or something like that. So, my hat's off to you. I don't think that I would have been able to do that at 7 years old. That's very cool. That's very cool. And how about you, Hal? Well, what's kind of your genesis story of how you got into the industry?
I don't know. Hey, that's very impressive that you were able to do that at 7 years old. Far out. My 7-year-old self wasn't able to do that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a matter of like, I was like, sort of like smart ass, funny person in class throughout high school. And then when you get to the end of high school, you go, oh wait, am I actually going to have to get a real job? And you're like, shit, hopefully not. Hey, like, I hope I don't actually have to, like, there's no way, like, I don't know, I'll work at like a ridiculous job before I actually have to work at like a serious business job. But that enough of the scariness of having to get a real job as soon as I finished high school forced me into actually writing a film that like I'd watched, like I'd procrastinated so heavily watching all these like teen films and all these comedy films. Like I think I'd seen like Superbad like 30 times, Dazed and Confused probably the same amount of times. Like I don't even know why these two films particularly. It was like, I remember first of all it was because I was like either getting like slight invites to parties or like wasn't getting invited, but like I was like 17 years old and all I wanted to do was get invited to these parties. So when I wasn't invited, I'd watch these films, and it's just so ridiculous that like my want to like not be working ended up leading to me listening to all these podcasts on like these like party films or like films where like people are having heaps of fun. I just like listen to them instead of having to study for like my tests. And then like I listened to them, and then like as soon as I finished school, like I had like a month or so where I did absolutely nothing and like just like was being silly the whole time with all my friends, and then went to this thing which is sort of similar to spring break, but it's called schoolies in Australia because like the legal drinking age is 18 as opposed to 21. So instead of spring break, we have schoolies, which is like, it sounds so stupid, but like when you're 18 years old, like once everyone finishes school, you go up to this particular, like a few particular places in the country and just go and party. And like, cause you're 18, you're allowed to drink in the pubs or whatever and go like insane. But then whatever, like once I got back from that, I just realized I went, wait a second, like partying's fun, don't get me wrong, but like I've certainly got nothing to like actually focus on. And then like within a few days, I just started like writing a script because I didn't really know what to do. And then it'd been 3 days or so and I had like 38 pages. And I remember thinking like, oh, I wonder if that's a lot of pages for the amount of days that I've been writing. And then 7 days later, it'd been 10 days and I'd like finished the feature film script of like this. Like I'd never, like I failed English at school, like not out of like not being good at it, it's out of not studying at all and being super fucking lazy. But when there was something I actually wanted to do, I was like, holy shit, this is sort of scaring me. Why do I keep wanting to do this? But yeah, anyway, from when I started to 10 days later, and then I had an 88 first page draft of Bilged, which like I didn't have any position in the industry at all, and I was just able to like give that to a few people in the industry, and they went, oh, this is actually like, not saying this just because of how young you are, but like this is actually like really good. And then I don't know, the craziness ensued, and then somehow 12 months later I was actually shooting the feature film of it.
And is this the same feature film that went to the festival last year?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so crazy.
Sorry, that was such a long answer for such a short story. I'm sorry.
No, it's, you know, I think it's really interesting. I think a lot of people can relate to not really knowing what they want to do, or, you know, just kind of being at that age in high school or even older in college where you're sort of like, I don't know, you know, maybe you're undecided about what degree you're going to get, or if you're going to go to college, or are you going to go into like the workforce immediately. And what you both have touched upon here is, and I think it's really true, is that in order to follow any dream, right, and in this case it's the Hollywood dream or making movies, right, you have to lead with just an insatiable desire, right, to do it.
I mean, I was so petty that like there was like a $40 fee, and I'm sure it's a completely different like college system in America as opposed to Australia, because like there's a little bit more like government like free shit going on, but like there's a $40 fee you have to pay to ensure that your high school education is like validated for to be able to get into a university or a college. And so petty that like I remember like getting the paper and being like, nah, fully fuck that. Like I couldn't think anything worse than having to go to university. Which things I was able to pull it off, because like that is such like a smart ass decision that was so unjustified in the time. Like now it's fine because I'm on like The Walking Dead or whatever, but like in a time like that is so not a fair decision to make.
Yeah, well, it's true. You got to make sometimes you're faced when you're especially following an artistic career with those kinds of risky decisions about education or work or finances a lot. And that's kind of where I was going with that, is that like it takes a stomach of steel in some ways to just pursue what you love doing, because it's not always you know, the smart thing to do. But if you keep doing something because you love it, then you can work through all those moments of doubt and financial insecurity, right? Because you're doing what you love. That's very cool, Hal. I'm glad that you were able to write that script in such a short amount of time. I love it when that kind of thing happens. Did you guys have, I mean, you guys talked about how you got into it and kind of some of the obstacles that you faced, but was there anyone like truly influential in your life? I know for me, when I was younger, getting into it, if I didn't have the support, I mean, this is gonna be so cliche, but if I didn't have the support of my parents to do this, it definitely wouldn't have happened, you know, because I would have probably succumbed to my own insecurity or lack of self-confidence. So Dalila or Hal, whichever one wants to jump in here, did you guys have an influential person in your life who kind of like helped guide you at all, and can you speak to how important that is?
Dalila.
Me?
Yeah, Dalila,
you're up.
Okay. Well, Emma, yeah, me too. It's my parents, my family. I have two younger brothers. They're both actors as well. And yeah, I don't know what I would do without thinking that. I'm tearing up. Yeah, their support and their constant help and unconditional love, just it really just makes a big difference on those moments when like you really wanted this job and then you end up not getting hired for it, and that sometimes, especially like the first few times, and even after, even when you've got years of experience, sometimes it still stings when you're like, oh, I worked so hard, I really wanted it, and then I don't have it, or you're in a drought where you're not really working, like unfortunately how we are quarantined. Can sometimes play really heavily on this. Yeah, very grateful to have the support of my parents and my brothers, you know, over the course of my career and my life.
Cool. Yeah, I totally agree. I think anyone out there who wants to pursue like a dream, and you know, I get when parents are a little more cautious because, you know, maybe they've already gone through an experience or they know how hard life can be given that path. But if your kid has the determination and they have the passion, I think support is like the other very big key ingredient, at least from someone in your life, you know. How about you, Hal?
That's funny hearing that. Like, I remember my grandma would be like, because my dad was on like a soap opera for a very short amount of time, like in Australia, before like having to like go back and do his normal job. But I remember my grandma being like, "Oh no, like you can't be an actor. Like I've seen like all actors, blah 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 blah." But then sort of do remember at the time being like, "All right, I'm not gonna listen to your opinion." Even though it's so heavy, like that's my grandma. I shouldn't even say that, but like I don't know, like no, I like have so much to thank for. There's just a lot of building blocks, like weirdly through acting. It's so much about like who you know and like nepotism is actually ridiculous how much it's rampant throughout the industry. Like even though like I'm not like I really don't want to like make it seem like I'm through nepotism just because my dad was on like some like a soap opera TV show for 3 years in Australia. Like that's by far not like the reason that I'm in the position I am, but not because of that. It's because like he went to acting school and like he got well, first of all went to medical school because he's obviously really fucking smart. Finished medical school and then went into acting school and had an interest in it. And then I guess my fucking family had an interest in it. And then I guess I don't even know. Like I feel like that just passes down to you even without realizing, even if it's not talked about. Like I remember so much. Like I feel like the reason that I'm an actor now is because there was a blockbuster literally like 100 meters from my house back day, and the little teenage stoners that worked there didn't care at all about renting MA15 plus movies to a little 7-year-old me. So I had all these like comedy films. Like I remember like going up there and getting like Step Brothers, The Hangover, and like a bunch of other films when I was literally like 7-8 years old. Luckily to the stoners that were working at Blockbuster, they didn't care. So I just got like an advance. So like I don't even know, like I just got this own little schedule of like film understanding that just it was a matter of the people at Blockbuster being like not caring about like giving this little 7-year-old NA15 plus movies every 2 days, because I'd get like $2-3 coins from my mom and she'd be like, yeah, you can come up, you can go up to the shop and buy a movie or whatever, and I just get like an MA15 plus or R-rated like comedy films. And that's like the reason, like I don't even know, like that sounds bad, but like in reality my parents are pretty good. But like I don't know, when you're at that age, that sort of gives you a little bit of like an advantage. You get to like, I don't know, digest like adult films at that time.
Sorry, I had a hard time unmuting myself. The joys of Zoom. Yeah, no, it sounds like you had an education of a different kind, right? You got to see all these movies that were created by artists that you really love, people who really inspire you, which is very, very, very cool. I mean, I guess that's like a
I feel
great...
like my answers are way too long. Hey, I'm sorry.
No, it's not at all. Don't worry at all. Yeah, so you've talked, Hal, you've talked a lot about the kinds of movies that inspired you. Obviously, I think you said Superbad and Dazed and Confused, and you just said Stepdads and Step Brothers. So obviously you like that kind of genre, and I think your film that went to Chelsea Film Festival last year was in that kind of world. Is that sort of, as an artist, is that where you see yourself headed?
I mean, the fact that like there's no reason why that film should have done well. Like it was just a random film made out of Australia, and now we're talking to streaming platforms. Like it's pretty likely that it's going to get on a Netflix or whatever streaming platform is that we eventually go with. But like the fact that they even got to that point is just so ridiculous. And then they go, hey, when you're ready to share the new script, like please send it to us. Like it just seems ridiculous. Thing is like, I don't know. I have like a bit of imposter syndrome that I go like, I'm not like a proper writer. Like I'm just like, I don't even know. Like I'm just writing stuff at home, thinking what would make a funny movie. But I don't even know. I forget what the question was, but.
Well, my question was: is that the world, like as a filmmaker yourself? Is that the kind of
because my first American audition was The Walking Dead, and obviously like I just thought like, all right, because my first American audition was to try and get my American managers to like me, so I was like, all right, I'm going to do it really good, and I ended up getting the job, and I was like, holy shit, like. I don't even know what world I've been thrown into here, but like it was good. It was in a way it was a little bit good that it was so different from something that I'm normally used to. That I'm just thrown on, like obviously any actor would dream that they're just thrown on the series reg on their first American audition into a show. But like I feel like it is good that it was a little bit something I'm like slightly like not super comfortable to just jump into straight away, because now like. When I'm presenting to these streaming platforms, like my new scripts or whatever, my new projects, they're just like so completely different to what's on the screen on AMC or whatever. Like because, well, first of all, there's a lot much more of a cultural difference between America and Australia than people usually like accept, but also like. Yeah, like even though it sounds super corny, being like, oh yeah, I love fucking Superbad and like Step Brothers, like it sounds like such a fucking frat boy thing to say, but like that was just what I grew up on when I was like a young boy. So I do hope like the comedy world, I do hope it doesn't die. I do hope that like even though jokes may be somewhat like challenging or whatever, like I hope that it's not too offensive that it does die, because it does seem like such like you know what I mean, like when you watch like a really funny comedy film and you're just like laughing the entire time, I feel like that's like almost a different experience to watching any other film.
Totally. No, comedy, I don't think comedy is going anywhere. Comedy is very, very important. And I think, you know, for example, I grew up on a lot of like Tim Burton movies, you know, or like Rob Reiner films and stuff like that. So, you know, I get that. Like you gravitate towards a specific kind of genre usually.
This is Spinal Tap, Rob Reiner.
You know what? I actually don't know Spinal Tap. I was more thinking Princess Bride because I'm, you know,
I love Princess
unlike
Bride.
anybody
so
else.
Sick.
It's one of the greatest movies ever.
It's so good.
It's so good. How about you, Dalila? What, you know, moving forward in your career, you've obviously also been an actress in like kind of a giant span of things. And we talked first about Annie with an E, which is just a delightful show. And if anyone on here has not watched it yet, really, truly, it is such a breath of fresh air. It's just so lovely, and I'm sorry to hear that there's no more moving forward, but there are a number of really beautiful seasons. You guys should all check it out. As an actress and a filmmaker yourself, like what would be your perfect like ideal, like what direction do you want to head in that you've always wanted to be in when you're, you know, since you were first starting out?
Well, okay,
maybe you don't have one. Maybe you like it all.
Well, I'm going to talk in acting terms first, and then I'm going to talk in more like filmmaking, directing.
Great. Love it. Yes.
Acting, well, for me, the main beauty in acting is being able to step into and see life quite literally through a completely different perspective. So my main goal is like, I just want to do a varying degrees of perspectives. And yeah, right now the kind of projects that I'm looking for, like acting-wise, are ones that truly delve into more either difficult to talk about topics that put like facts in your face and make you see what's going on and truly raise a conversation, which coincidentally is actually like the same kind of movies that I want to make. I want to make movies, I want to be in movies that make you think, that truly pick your brain a little and are real and are raw. And typically that tends to be more like dramatic films. You know, drama films usually are like that. You know, you're faced with raw emotions, real problems, and real people. So yeah, I think that's always been my favorite realm to be in. That absolutely open perspective and emotion that comes in either filmmaking or acting. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been ever since I was young.
That's so cool. Do you feel like being able to dive into those kinds of really deep and dark emotions? I know that for me, sometimes it feels like a safe place to explore some, you know, emotions that are not necessarily always pleasant. That's kind of the job of the actors, to kind of translate and communicate those things for an audience, you know what I mean? So that we can watch it and get, and you know, when you're watching something that's impactful, you feel it too as a viewer, right? That's like what I want to do for people, is like allow them to feel. So is that kind of like why you love drama in general, because of that?
Yeah, it's like catharsis. You know, your literal job is to dissect those emotions, dive into them, feel them from action till cut, really break down the motivations of your character and why. And because every single character has a little piece of you in it, it's your job also to find that and to exploit that within yourself and your character. So yeah, that whenever I have a scene that is just especially challenging in any way, shape, or form, that that always makes me go, oh yeah, excited. And yeah, and I've always gotten that thrill, specifically with movies that dwelled in characters in movies that dwelled in more of those like the kind of darker side. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I get that. I know my friends are always like, why do you love doing things where you're like sobbing? And I'm like, I don't know, because it feels good.
Fun in a weird way.
It's weird. Yeah, it's like a weird sadomasochist thing. No, I think it's connecting to, yeah, it's just connecting to these feelings that every single person experiences, you know, and being given an outlet to express them. That's just, it, to me, feels safe. You know, it just feels safe to be. Yeah. That's awesome. Gosh, we're coming to like, running out of time, but I could talk to you guys forever. So I'm gonna ask a couple more things. I wanted to sort of switch gears a little bit and talk about, you know, we're obviously all in this very crazy world where it's not super easy to if you're starting out your career right now, anyone who's listening or watching, it's like not a super easy time to do that for a myriad of reasons. The whole industry is shifting and changing, and it has been for a long time, from, you know, going from regular networks to streaming platforms, and now even more so. And I know that in my experience, like in-person auditions, what are those? You know, it's mostly like self-tapes, which is a whole different.
I had one the other week, and it was so weird.
In person?
Yeah, I'd only had one before in my life, and I was just like, this is completely different to like, hey, you've got to call back, film it again.
So you mostly had done like taped auditions, Hal, before that?
Yeah, I've only done like maybe 9 or 10 auditions before.
So what can you speak? So that's interesting. It's an interesting perspective that I honestly don't have, because for the 16 years I've been doing this, it's only been the last like year or two where I've had a lot of over, you know, taped auditions versus in person. So I personally love in person, and I like have a hard time jumping to this new thing. But you sound like maybe you have more training in the other way. So can you speak to what the difference feels like for you? Because that's interesting to me.
I mean, it is interesting, and I'm just remembering while explaining this, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how to say Is it Delilah?
Dalila. Dalila.
Dalila. All right. I'm sorry for saying your name wrong. But I just remembered that researching before is how fucking massive Dalila is. But yeah, like obviously she's way bigger than me, so she'd know more about this whole process than I would. But like, I don't know, like I feel like it is funny that they say like, all right, you got to film on like a white wall and film from like your biceps upwards. But like I've already like made a low budget film. I'm just like with an audition, if they don't like it, it's fine. But you sort of like, from a perspective that I've taken, I'd suggest other people to take, just a perspective of like, don't listen to what they're saying, and then just go like, all right, who cares? Like a lot of the time with a short film, like I just got a call back the other day for like this massive Australian show, because instead of filming it on a white wall, we just shot like a little short film for the audition. Like, I don't know, you might as well do that. Like, even though self-tape seems super restricting, and like I also as well loved that I got a call back and I could go in, and then the director is there sitting on the couch eating a kebab and chips, and then they're like, hey, can you play it like blah 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 blah, because I feel really confident with improv, because it's like I'm constantly pretending to be different people anyway with my friends, let alone like for an audition I go like, all right, cool, and like change it straight away. It was quite nice because I hadn't had that before, that where you just get to change it on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, with the whole self-tape situation, like you don't actually have to listen to the rules that they say. Like, film it however you want. Like, I like fully will just like film the other actor that I'm getting to read the lines and make it a short film, because you want to leave less up to the imagination of the casting agent as you can. Like, that's why I got I think I got the Walking Dead roles, because we just like fully filmed like a scene as opposed to an audition. Like, you're fighting against so many other people as an actor. You just fully got to stand out. Like,
That's
obviously
not
you got to
bad
be good
advice.
as well. But yeah.
That's very interesting. And by the way, congrats on The Walking Dead. We're Walking Dead alum. So we have
Yeah,
that.
that's so funny. I didn't even realize when I met you in New York. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was on The Walking Dead like 10 years ago. I was the original OG over
When it
here.
was popular.
When it was, it's still pretty popular. No, but you know what it is? Good advice to mention that, you know, while rules sometimes do need to be followed, at least in well, I guess Walking Dead, you probably sent your tape to America.
No, yeah, but like with creativity, I don't know, like any rules that like to break down all the bullshit.
Yeah.
All the bullshit that I just spat out is, when it's a creative field, don't follow any rules, because like you don't follow the rules and then you get a job out of it.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right. I mean, being creative and thinking outside the box is like a very great skill set to have if you want to be in this industry, for sure. So I love hearing that you kind of, because I find self-tapes to be restrictive, and I love going into a room because I love the feedback and I love playing.
Yeah, I do as well.
In the moment. So I always look at self-tapes as like, because now I have to be the person who gives myself feedback, which is never a good idea. So, you know, but I'm gonna take
it is a little bit rough in the fact that like you film an audition that's perfectly good, and then you watch it back and you go, at the 42-second mark, I do the wrong facial expression for half a second, let's film it again.
Yeah, right.
You're pretty hard on yourself.
Which in a movie situation, they would just take a different cut.
Yeah, exactly.
What, Dalila?
Or they would ADR if it was a little mumbled or whatever.
Yeah, there's lots of movie magic. Okay, last thing. Do we have questions going on in the chat? I don't know how many we have here.
We have a lot of comments and love and messages telling where they're from.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of fans from all around the world, which is great that everyone's up right now to see you lovely people. I guess,
yeah.
You know.
So we have a question here. If you could interpret any character, which would you choose?
Like, wait, who's this question for?
This is a question for both of you. So any character in the film, I guess they want to talk about what type of character rather would you like to portray in a film?
So we just got to pick a character that's already been done.
Yeah, I think the question is like, if you could have been cast in any movie that obviously you weren't cast in, but you're like, that was my role. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty hard, hey.
There was this one.
Literally, go. You're gonna have a better answer than I am. Go.
No, there was this one audition. I did it, I think, when I was like around 12, 13. I didn't get hired for the part, but it was a style of character that I had never done before. It was a little girl who, due to schizophrenia, was slowly losing her mind because she could not explain to people. Like, she lived in a world, like in a time period where like schizophrenia didn't really have a name. So she couldn't explain to the people around her what was going on. So they just kept berating her and bullying her, and eventually she just snaps. And I remember doing a very intense scene where she was just essentially going like, no one understands what I'm saying. Like, the entire scene was essentially I was talking to myself just over and over again and doing like these different voices and whatnot as I was trying to as you could see how the writing was trying to translate to the audience kind of relatively what it feels like in a time when no one really understood it. And I don't know, I just, that a kind of character that is more misunderstood, for whatever reason, I don't know, I like to give voice to that. I don't know, a character that is struggling due to not being like everyone else, and wanting to just support me, like, no, I'm not, there's something wrong with me. And I don't know, that has always attracted me to be able to give a voice to that. That's the kind of characters that I wanna play.
That's very cool. Along that note, we have another question from a fan here who says, and this is for
Just
you.
quickly, I agree. It's so annoying when you don't get, like, when you're so excited and you're like, yeah, I'm the best person to play this role, and then you don't get it.
Yeah, right?
You're like, what do you mean? You're like, what do you mean? No, sorry, can I get on the phone with the producers? I don't think they understand that I'm the perfect person to play this role.
Right, exactly. You have to call them up yourself and be like, no, listen.
No, sorry, I'm really sorry, but you're not smart enough to understand that I'm the perfect person to play this role. I'm about to...
What'd you say? Yeah, Seth Rogen? Who's that? No, it's me. Okay. So another question from one of your fans is, what do you consider to be your biggest challenge right now as an actress or an actor? Maybe during this COVID time is what they're speaking to, or whatever. So Hal, you want to start off with that?
I don't really have any struggles right now. Hey, like don't get me wrong, the year was a very unproductive year for a very long time there, and I hadn't had an unproductive year for a while, so I was like, oh shit, like this is not good, because when you've been so productive for so long, that's what you get used to, and you're like, this is me now, I'm a super productive like person that's always pushing themselves forward. And then obviously COVID took its like toll, but also I was just super lazy like in the 3 months prior to COVID, because I just finished filming season 1 of The Walking Dead World Beyond, and then like I don't know, I just felt so shit, but like the last couple of weeks have just been so good. I mean, it's just a matter of like, you literally like, if like work makes work, like if you just keep working and like believing in what your own stuff is, then things start popping up and you're like, oh, fantastic. Like even like with my acting stuff, it started popping up, but then all my writing stuff has started popping up at the same time. And I feel like that's just a matter of like, when you're working, people can even just like sense that you're like a working person, and they start like giving you opportunities. I know. Then again, I'm 21 years old. I don't know if I have a very good answer that.
It's great. It's great that you don't feel struggle right now, because you know what? What I've learned is in this industry, which is so full of ups and downs, you really have to like revel in the moments where it's an up. Because this is not to be negative or anything like that, but there will be downs, right? It's just inevitable. It's life's like that too. So when you're at an up, you got to celebrate, you got to hold on to it, and then it gets you through the down moments.
I mean, even like I'm not allowed to talk about the show I just got, but like, because I don't know, the publicity hasn't been sent through whatever yet, but like I was about to have to move out of my apartment and move back into my like the sofa bed at my mum's house. But then like I literally just get a call like a few days before, just being like probably like my biggest role ever in my life, just being like, hey, here you go, blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, is there a callback? And they go, no callback, you're done. And I just go like, it's such a weird like job that like that just changes so quickly. I was literally about to have a shower and I go, wait a second, that's a message from my agent. I like jump out and read it and I go, awesome. I get to live in an apartment, not with my family. Don't get me wrong, I like my family. I don't want to live with them. Like all this other shit. And I just go like, literally like, holy shit, that just changes my life. Like, what the hell?
That's awesome. Yeah, that can happen. Dalila, we've got like 1 more minute, so I wanted to give you an opportunity. What do you think is your biggest challenge right now?
Well, I think it's mainly that, like you just before, the no longer in-person auditions. Such, I've been doing more voiceover work over the first quarantine, so like it's pretty cool. Recently, there's been more auditions. Yeah, it's the fact of like how the industry just kind of stopped. You know that it's that whole thing like, wow, you're such a big machine, the machine that I have been part of for the majority of my life, the machine that I want to spend all my time and all my artistry in has stopped. Wow. And yeah, I think that and just trying to keep your head up and keep pushing forward and remaining optimistic in the face of all that, I think that was like the hurdle that I have to like overcome over the course of quarantine.
Yeah. Well, listen, you guys, thank you so much for chatting with me. I'm gonna head it back over to Ingrid so she can close us out, but you both are incredibly inspirational. And I'm just like so in awe of your generation. I think you guys are doing wonderful things. I can't wait to see what you guys all get up to, and hopefully we can all work together. That would be amazing. So
awesome. Nice to meet you, Dalila.
Nice meeting you too.
Sorry, I said your name wrong before.
And thank you for everyone tuning in too.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Emma, Dalila, and Hal for joining us today. It's either early in the morning, late at night for all of you, and I really appreciate you accepted our invitation. You are inspirational, as Emma said, and that's why you're here with us. And I hope to have you back. Thank you to all our audience members for coming. I see a lot of young people. I hope this was inspiring and insightful. For you to get into this business, this very difficult business. I don't know who wants to come in this business now because it's so difficult, especially during COVID time. But Hal said it's not too crazy, right? No, it's okay. It could be. There's some upside.
Not for Australia.
Yeah, there's some upside right now, and
no, I'm being rude.
Thank you
it's
to
unfair.
all this technology that is allowing us to connect from so far away. So I thank you all again, and I look forward to seeing you. We have a long day on Zoom for the Real Magic Hour program. It ends at 7 p.m. We are going to tune in again at 1 p.m. for the masterclass with our jury president. His name is Paul Calderon, so please join us. And I'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone. And please watch the films on Film Festival Plus. Bye-bye.